2 years ago, actor Jiang Feng stood on the red carpet at the Chengdu Film Festival in a sharp suit, caught in the blinding flash of cameras. Fast forward 2 years to today, and he's instead standing in a Sichuan wet market at 4 in the morning, his hands deftly organizing soggy bundles of green onions. Meanwhile, right across the strait, the mainland entertainment industry is being rocked by an epic tsunami of unpaid wages. Before we tear this all down piece by piece, if you want to support Trace Zero so we can keep bringing you deeper, long-form investigations, consider joining Trace Circle. You'll get exclusive stickers featuring my face to use in the live chats and comment sections. I'll see you there. Hey there, my beloved Tracers. Sean here. How are you holding up? If you think the entertainment world is just this magical place where wildest dreams and ultimate luxury collide, well, get ready to see the flip side. The place where those exact dreams get crushed without a single sound. Because you never know how deep this hole goes. Wawa Qian, Xie Yilin, Zhao Pinlin, and over 30 other artists have spoken out collectively, blasting top variety show director Zhang Ziyi for running a massive Ponzi scheme and dragging them into a dark scandal of unpaid wages and fraud totaling up to 30 million RMB. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill celebrity gossip. It's the most tragic side of a multi-billion-dollar industry in total systemic collapse. When political censorship completely seals off any room for creativity, and when a sluggish macroeconomy sends investors running for the hills, when AI steps in with a generation rate of over 95% overnight, pushing middle-tier actors and background extras straight to the edge of an abyss, back in the day, the entire ecosystem of the film industry trembled in fear during this century's freezing winter. This video will walk you through the core logic behind why specialty actors like Jiang Feng, Xu Peng, and 8 other types have been forced to become small-time vendors while digging deep into the systemic black hole behind Zhang Ziyi's case, where legitimate legal recourse is practically impossible. This is a grand funeral for the Mandarin language film world in 2026, and at the same time, a raw record of the spiritual and cultural world of 14 billion people heading towards slow decay. Jiang Feng is undoubtedly another victim of this cinematic winter. He isn't some low-level crew member picking up odd jobs on set. He's a leading man behind the silver screen, a nominee at the 14th First International Film Festival, and a genuine professional actor whose name was once etched into the history of independent Chinese cinema. Waking up at 4 in the morning to pick up stock, then setting up his stall right on the dot at 6:30 to sell, that's his routine now. In the first half of 2026, Jiang Feng's phone was basically dead silent. He hadn't received a single job offer in over half a year, not even a casual casting call with 2 lines of dialogue to his name. The assistant directors, producers, and casting agents he used to work with when he reached out, they either left him on red or hit him back with that resigned late-night text. Bro, it's not that we don't want to cast you, but things are genuinely dead right now. Every project in the industry is on ice. Even the big-name directors are just laying low at home. Jiang Feng is a formally trained graduate from the Central Academy of Drama. In China, that means beating out tens of thousands of people just to get a golden ticket into the palace of acting. To chase his dream of becoming an actor, he moved away and grinded out a living in Hengdian and Beijing for a full 8 years. Throughout those 8 years, he endured every form of humiliation and suffering a lower-class worker in this industry could possibly face. To fight for a single opportunity, he'd work as an extra for free. After busting his gut-fitting costumes and signing a contract, he'd get abruptly replaced the night before shooting by someone with heavy connections and deep pockets. The thousands of yuan he blew on travel expenses and hotel stays would just vanish into thin air with zero recourse for a refund anywhere in sight. A few years back, when traditional movies and TV series started shrinking due to heavy censorship and investors pulling out their capital, Jiang Feng, like so many other actors coming out of Central Academies, grabbed onto the absolute last straw, the mini-drama market. During the wildest, most runaway growth phase of short dramas, conventionally attractive, well-trained actors like Jiang Feng were hot commodities on the market. Over in Hengdian, they played dominant CEOs or unhinged, obsessed mad dogs back-to-back, pulling in daily rates anywhere from $560 to $700. Even with the punishing workload, that kind of income was enough to keep their heads held high against crippling mortgage payments and the brutal cost of living in the city. But as the wheels of history rolled past 2026, there was zero welcome or tolerance left for this group of physical, flesh and blood actors. What crushed the short drama market wasn't better actors, it was AI. Take a look at these latest stats that are enough to send shivers down the spine of anyone in the arts. In the first quarter of 2026, the total number of mini-dramas released online across the entire Chinese internet hit a staggering 128,000 titles. Out of those, short dramas generated completely automatically using AI technology dominated a whopping 122,000 titles, hitting a mind-blowing percentage of over 95%. At the exact same time, traditional live-action short drama production, which actually relies on real actors, makeup artists, and lighting crews, took a catastrophic 75% nosedive year-on-year. The vacancy rate for film and photo studios of all sizes in Hengdian World Studios skyrocketed to a brutal 78% in 2026. Standing face-to-face with AI, real human flesh and bone looks utterly ridiculous and pathetic. Jiang Feng breaks it down plain and simple. Back in the day, we relied on a dominant CEO face or a bad boy look to act in front of the camera. But the second AI rolled in, the algorithm only needed to analyze tens of thousands of faces, from eye blinks and forehead wrinkles to cliché crying and rage. And within just 3 days, it could churn out an 80-episode hit short drama series. A live-action short drama production costs hundreds of thousands, while an AI-generated version costs 1/50th of the human price tag. Capital doesn't shed tears. It only cares about return on investment. When algorithms can replace you for pennies on the dollar, the face of a drama academy grad is worth absolute zero to the people holding the purse strings. You're just dead weight. The market completely froze over in just a matter of months. The daily wages of Central Academy actors were wiped out, plunging from a solid $560 USD all the way down to a pathetic $56 USD. Meanwhile, the daily pay for background extras and lower-tier supporting actors got squeezed down to a measly $10 to $11 USD, not even enough to cover 3 fast food meals and a bed in a Hengdian flophouse. Jiang Feng didn't jump on the bandwagon to live stream and sell goods like everyone else. He didn't write pity-baiting short essays online, and he sure didn't make some dramatic, grand announcement about quitting the industry entirely. He just faced reality head-on, packed up his things, and headed back to his hometown in Sichuan. Far away from the blinding stage lights, he rented a stall at the wet market cleaning veggies, selling them and calling out prices by the kilo. When online volunteers and former fans accidentally ran into him at the market and asked if he ever thought about getting back into acting, this 30-something guy who had been through the wildest industry roller coaster just offered a faint smile and calmly said, "The fire isn't out yet, but for now, let's just focus on selling these veggies right." That single line cuts straight through and tears at the heartstrings of countless migrant workers grinding themselves to the bone in the big city. There's a commentary online saying that Jiang Feng's decision to sell vegetables is the most rational choice in the entire entertainment industry for 2026. He didn't use his past fame to cash in on public sympathy. He's just out here living his life earnestly. But as we applaud Jiang Feng's self-awareness, a much deeper and spine-chilling question bubbles to the surface. Behind the figure of Jiang Feng that we see, just how many other Jiang Fengs out there haven't been captured by cameras, quietly and silently erased from the country's arts and cultural map? In today's Chinese film and television landscape, Jiang Feng's story is by no means an isolated case. Xu Peng is a male actor who also graduated from the Central Academy of Drama. having appeared in various popular costume dramas, including a key supporting role in A Lifelong Journey and dubbed the dominant CEO specialist of the short drama world. Now, he has made the exact same choice as Jiang Feng, walking away from Hengdian World Studios, the place that once anchored so many of his dreams, back to his hometown in Shandong. Nowadays, Xu Peng spends his days riding a beat-up old motorized tricycle to sell veggies and bean sprouts at his local traditional market, and when night falls, he still has to run a street night stall selling fried satay sauce juice. On top of that, there's regular short drama actor Zhang Ziyi, who, after completely drying up on role offers, packed up the Beijing basement he'd lived in for years and headed back to his village to grow chili peppers. Wu Weibing, a veteran actor who once set the record at Hengdian by locking down roles 365 days a year and earned the revered title of King of Acting among his peers, hit a brick wall in the industry in 2026 when he went over 40 consecutive days without a single shooting offer, not even a single line cameo role. These names mean absolutely nothing next to high-traffic stars backed by tens of millions of fans. They've never cracked the top 3 on Weibo trending topics and never graced the invitation lists of top fashion brands. They are collectively evaporating from this industry in the quietest, most dignified way possible. But if you think this century's cinematic winter of 2026 is only freezing out the lower tier and lower middle players, you are dead wrong. Facing this massive avalanche, even the industry giants standing at the absolute peak of the pyramid, those top-tier stars, usually swarmed by entourages and looking entirely untouchable, have started shivering in the cold wind. When interviewed by the media, famous actor Zhang Ziyi openly self-deprecated, admitting that lately he's been completely ghosted and has zero work. Rising popular star Lu Haoran took straight to a public platform with a post that straddled the line between half serious and joking, yet barely masked his underlying anxiety. Got any work? Please hit me up. And most shockingly and unbelievably of all, there's the crowning Hall of Fame figure of Mandarin language cinema, Zhang Ziyi. Who is Zhang Ziyi? She is Yu Jiaolong in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Gong Er in The Grandmaster, the reigning Best Actress winner across prestigious awards like the Golden Horse, Hong Kong Film Awards, and Golden Rooster, and an international superstar who once carried Chinese cinema all the way to the Oscar stage. Yet recently, Zhang Ziyi publicly cried out to the entire industry via her personal social media, "If there are any scripts, please hand them over to me." A woman standing at the very pinnacle of power and fame in the Mandarin film industry has to personally step up to hunt for scripts and look for work. This thin veil has been ripped wide open, exposing the most brutal truth within the ecosystem of Chinese cinema. This cinematic winter no longer gives a damn about social ranks or tiers. It has completely flattened everything across the board without exception. From the background extras eating box lunches in Hengdian, all the way to the high-traffic stars who used to rake in daily paychecks of 1 million yuan, seeing a maestro-caliber silver screen queen like Zhang Ziyi, everyone feels that exact same bone-chilling frost. When the main water source across the entire market has dried up, and when quality film and television projects that used to kick off by the thousands each year have shriveled down to a mere handful, the people at the top of the pyramid are snatching the rice bowls of middle-tier actors. The middle tier are squeezing out the survival space of the lower-tier actors, while the background extras at the absolute bottom get kicked straight out of the game entirely. Zhang Ziyi's hunt for roles stands as the tip of the iceberg, witnessing the total collapse of the art world. If you could say that actors who fail to get casting calls and pivot to selling vegetables represent the cold, merciless culling of the market and technology, then the 1,000-star Zhang Zihao storm that followed was the darkest and most disgusting conspiracy born as the industry faces total ruin. Right at the moment Jiang Feng was sorting out his vegetables in Sichuan, mainland China's film and television world was shaken to its core by a massive fraud and joint wage recovery scandal involving over 30 artists, with a total estimated at $4.2 million The central figure of this whole mess is the well-known domestic variety show director, Zhang Ziyi. According to the joint rights protection lawsuits filed online by numerous artists and vendors, during the preparation and casting phases of the variety shows Open for Business and 100% Singer Battle Season, Zhang Ziyi massively defaulted on artist recording wages, venue fees, and back-end crew salaries. Among them, 7 young artists like Wang Waxian and Xie Yilin, who were just starting out in the entertainment industry and desperately needed a stage for exposure, suffered the most tragic fate. While filming Open for Business, the promised new wages from the production crew didn't drop a single penny. Yet, bound by strict performance contracts, if they refused to finish the recording, they would face astronomical penalty fines for breach of contract. This group of young kids was forced to work illegally under the law within the production crew. By day, they had to slap on smiles in front of the cameras to create that variety show magic. By night, they returned to their dorms to hug each other in absolute despair over not being able to afford rent. What's even more heartbreaking is that due to the threat of strict confidentiality clauses in their contracts and unspoken industry rules, for the longest time, even their basic right to speak out and fight for their rights openly on Weibo was completely stripped away. But believe it or not, that wasn't even the most absurd part of Zhang Ziyi's fraud scheme, as artists like Zhao Pinlin, Lu Xiaorou, Wang Jingwen, and others from the 100% Singer Battle Season joined the ranks of the rights protection movement. Even more terrifying details came completely to light. According to disclosures from singer Li Zhenglin and Zhang Zhuojia's teams, after Zhang Ziyi's financial chain completely collapsed, instead of halting production, he turned his dark hands toward the most innocent group of all the artist's fans. Leveraging his identity as the director, he secretly invited young fans out to dinner, exploited fan psychology, used internal scalper tickets as bait to get them close to their idols, wildly scammed the fans' trust, and subsequently borrowed massive amounts of money from them under the guise of crowdfunding support funds for the show. This scandal was no longer just a routine commercial wage default. It was a criminal scam from start to finish. Fazed by the out-of-control storm of public opinion, Zhang Ziyi was finally forced to step forward and release an apology statement. In his statement, he admitted with a deeply humbled tone, "Everyone says I lost money making shows, defaulted on wages, defaulted on salaries, and kept robbing Peter to pay Paul until the debts piled up. All of that is true. But I swear I didn't run away with the money. Zhang Ziyi couldn't run away even if he wanted to, because the companies under his name had long been forced into court enforcement, totaling over $108,000. He himself had long been placed on the blacklist of dishonest persons subject to enforcement, hit with high consumption restrictions, and reduced to what people call a lao lai, leaving him absolutely nowhere to run. But are we standing here today just to tear down a single con artist named Zhang Ziyi? No. Zhang Ziyi isn't the root of the disease. He's merely a malignant tumor expelled by an industry in critical condition as it struggles through its dying breath. His emergence accurately exposed the total paralysis of the grassroots system within China's film and television industry. In a healthy legal market, contracts are the supreme legal guarantee. Wage defaults can be sued over, and labor arbitration can step in immediately. But in China's entertainment world, the cost of fighting for your rights through legitimate legal channels is so high that ordinary people simply cannot afford to shoulder it. Filing a single lawsuit takes 1 to 2 years with exorbitant lawyer fees. And what's even more terrifying is that platforms and capital hold absolute veto power over blacklisting. Any young artist who dares recklessly drag a production crew to court often ends up facing a malicious, industry-wide smear campaign and total mass boycott. It is precisely this systemic inequality that provides the perfect breeding ground for speculators like Zhang Ziyi. Exploiting the vulnerability of artists who dare not speak out and live in fear of being blacklisted, he turned variety show production into a tool for illegal fundraising and Ponzi schemes. Debts piled up, robbing Peter to pay Paul, until even the final wall crumbled, destroying the youth and dreams of over 30 young artists. Now, Let's pull our gaze away from Jiang Feng's vegetable stall and Zhang Ziyi's courtroom, zooming our camera lens all the way out to take in the absolute wreckage of China's film and television industry. On the surface, three killer forces are squeezing the life out of this industry: the wild invasion of AI technology, the merciless retreat of capital, and the market's own brutal internal involution. But if you possess even a shred of independent critical thinking, you'll realize that these three reasons are merely the tip of the iceberg floating above the water. What truly dictates the life and death of this industry is the invisible hand of policy behind the scenes, holding absolute control over survival and ruin. The reason China's film and television industry is facing a systematic collapse in 2026 is because over the past 5 years, the industry has undergone a harsh, unyielding political purge without a single buffer zone in sight. Let's take a clear walk down memory lane. Back in 2021, authorities landed a heavy blow, thoroughly cracking down on the so-called fandom culture. Talent show programs were wiped out overnight, and the capital bubble of the idol industry burst instantly. A massive wave of film and television companies that relied entirely on fan economics and platform traffic saw their production pipelines severed overnight, with zero transition period or room to adjust. By 2022, a tax storm swept across every major internet platform. From top-tier A-list stars down to major production companies, one after another collapsed under astronomical fines and blacklists of shame. Sure, paying taxes according to the law is a reasonable obligation, but the system's expanding blanket punishment and total digital erasure created an overwhelming sense of political uncertainty. Private and foreign capital, which once looked upon China's film and TV market with bright optimism, fled in a massive exodus. In 2023, amid a worsening macroeconomic slump and a severe contraction in consumer spending, brand owners who used to throw money around recklessly on major platforms like Youku, ECE, and Tencent started slashing their budgets one after another. To save their own skins, long-form video platforms enforced brutal efficiency and cost-cutting measures. Acquisition standards were raised across the board, and countless small to mid-size film and TV projects ended up dead on arrival before they could even be born. From 2024 to 2025, when the entire industry was already bled dry and dying from the aforementioned blows, policy censorship over content was tightened to an almost absurd, suffocating degree. Putting out a film or television drama in China has now turned into a political gamble, far more dangerous than tightrope walking. Period dramas aren't allowed to carry any subtle hints satirizing the present day. Realism-themed works aren't permitted to depict social anxiety. The good guys in suspense thrillers can't have a single blemish, and villains must face severe, absolute punishment from the system. Even palace intrigue within ancient costume dramas gets slammed for lacking core socialist values. The moment creators put pen to paper for the very first time, what crosses their minds isn't how to tell a good story, but rather, will this sentence trigger a red line from some department? Will this character get mass reported by online nationalist youth for insulting China? Will this plotline be misconstrued as a malicious attempt to smear the image of civil servants? When the concrete of censorship has leveled every single discussion surrounding human nature, real conflict, and social contradictions, this market is destined to churn out nothing more than uniform, soulless, cultural garbage. The transformation of China's film and television industry in 2026 has happened way too fast, too brutally, and with a complete disregard for basic human dignity. There is no labor law capable of protecting a group of background extras banding together over unpaid wages. Not a single industry association stepped up to help those 30-plus artists claw back their hard-earned money from Zhang Ziyi's grip. When a massive tidal wave hits, every single person is reduced to nothing more than a pebble tossed ruthlessly outside the system. Jiang Feng once dropped a profound truth during a press interview that completely transcended his identity as an actor. He said, "The saddest part of our industry is that the handle of the chessboard is never in our own hands." This single quote serves as the most accurate yet heartbreaking diagnosis of the collective extinction of the Shang Mandarin language literary and artistic world. In a society where information control is airtight and the propaganda machine blasts "My country is great" day in and day out, the collapse of an entire industry is constantly masked behind an illusion of prosperity. Platform executives continuously flex fake big data numbers during annual corporate meetings. Stars keep projecting a false image of wealth through meticulously edited promo photos. If it hadn't been for that accidental video of Jiang Feng grocery shopping at the wet market circulating online, if it hadn't been for those 30-plus artists pushed to the absolute brink and sparking an explosive backlash, those of us outside the Great Firewall might never have laid eyes on the grotesque skeleton graveyard hidden beneath this cultural desert. The raw, unfiltered reality is often thousands of times more brutal than the fractured pieces we manage to catch. Jiang Feng selling vegetables isn't just a personal failure, it's a miniature reflection of a massive historical turning point. He simply overlooked the one crucial detail. In the place we call home, it's not just the entertainment industry, nor is it just actors. Every single one of us ordinary people, have we ever truly held the handrail of our own lives? Today, just how many Jiang Fengs are out there in China? The stage lights that once burned so blindingly bright and mesmerizing have truly gone dark. What happened to Jiang Feng, Zhang Ziyi, and dozens of defrauded artists is merely the tip of the iceberg. When the system seals off all breathing room and algorithms strip away our humanity, all that remains of a multi-billion-dollar industry is rubble and silence. The question is no longer about who manages to survive, but who the times will wipe out next. If you're still watching this, maybe you're looking for the same thing I am.